Hello everybody, it's Non-C News here, and today is going to be a pretty short video because I did end up stating most of the news on my previous video. So if you want to know the big news from yesterday to today, click on my previous video. I should link it in your top right corner here on the card here. If you want to know all the big news that have been happening in the last 24 hours, click there. But today we've got some pretty big news, but today's video is probably going to be a little bit shorter than usual. First, we're just going to wrap up the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. So, Putin's last statements, he stated that Iran has been asking for gas deliveries for a while, and we have this resource. Also, Iran's neighboring countries just have a huge need. So, he doesn't actually state what need means. So, I'm guessing that he just means gas. So, Iran's apparently wanting deliveries of Russian gas to Iran and perhaps neighboring countries of Iran, maybe Afghanistan, who knows, Iraq, I don't know, maybe Turkmenistan, I'm not sure. But pretty big news. We've also got news coming from the Malaysian Prime Minister that the Putin and the Malaysian Prime Minister promised to stay in touch after their meeting in the Eastern Economic Forum. We've also gotten some news coming from the president's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov. So he is the Russian presidential spokesman. He stated that the legitimacy of the government in Ukraine was interrupted in the 2014 when the coup took place. There are more and more people who are ready to sign a contract with the Russian Ministry of Defense to take part in the special military operation. That's what he stated. He also stated that right now neither Kiev, so Ukraine, nor Europe and the US are inclined to resolve the conflict peacefully. We've also got news come from Sergei Lavrov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. He stated that there are no rules in BRICS that prohibit members of certain organizations from having relations with the group. Lavrov stated after commenting on Turkey's desire to join BRICS, because as you know, Turkey is a NATO member, so that's why he is stating that. Now let's just get into some Ukrainian news. Zelensky stated that, according to him, the Ukrainian armed forces decided to start the offensive in Kursk to drag Russian troops to a certain point on their territory. He stated that they have already pulled about 60,000 people this point. They gathered them from areas where a difficult situation for us could have developed for us, he stated. Apparently, an extremely favourable situation has been created for the Ukrainian armed forces on all sections of the front. So he stated that the reason the Ukrainians did this offensive was because it brings more Russian reserves, more Russians to this contact to defend the territory of Russia. So, also General Susky, the commander of the Ukrainian armed forces, he explained the necessity of the operation in the Kursk region, stating that Russia was preparing an offensive from there. He outlined the key objectives of the operation to prevent Russia from using the Kursk as a launching point for a new offensive to divert Moscow's forces from other fronts, to establish a security zone and prevent cross-border shelling of civilian targets in Ukraine, to capture prisoners of war and boost the morale of the Ukrainian army and the nation. So that's what the two members of Ukraine stated. So roughly kind of the same thing. Susky saying that they've launched the Operation the Curse to stop the Russians doing the same towards Sumy, and Zelensky's kind of saying that they did it to try and withdraw all the troops, all the Russian troops to the Kursk region. So very interesting. We've also got news that Britain is to send 650 Marlit multi-purpose missiles to Kiev to support air defenses. The first batch will be delivered by the end of this year. The total amount of the contract will be around $213 million. So Britain is sending 650 Marlit multi-purpose missiles to Kiev to support air defense. Germany has also stated that with Denmark and the Netherlands plans to deliver another 77 Leopard 1A5 tanks to Ukraine, announced the German defense minister. So 77 combined with, obviously, as I stated, Germany, Netherlands, Denmark are going to amount 77 Leopard tanks and send them to Ukraine. So this is quite a huge military package to Ukraine. We've also got some news coming from Lithuania. Lithuania has installed anti-tank barriers known as Dragon Teeth. So these are kind of anti-tank obstacles, fortifications on the bridge of this city here on the Russian border between Lithuania, connecting the country of Russia and the Baltic states, the Ministry of Defense reported. So if you can see here, bottom left corner, this is the photo of it. So it's in this exact area. So Lithuania is putting Dragon Teeth on the Russian-Lithuanian border. Now, in my previous video, we talked about how Zelensky was going to visit Germany, so it has happened. So Germany visited this town right here, where Zelensky met with Lloyd Austin, the United States Secretary of Defense. So you can see here, bottom left corner, you can see the two sitting together. So it was in this town here. I'm going to try and pronounce the town. I think it's called Ramstein. The US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin announced that the US will reveal a new $250 million, so US dollars, military aid package for Ukraine today. So I'll keep you updated on that. My next video will talk about what this potentially has in it. We've also got some news coming from Stoltenberg, so the head of NATO. Ukraine has the right to use NATO missiles for attacks deep into Russia, Stoltenberg stated. He also stated that I am glad that many NATO countries have given that opportunity, and those that still have restrictions on the weapons given to Ukraine have softened the restrictions so that Ukraine can defend itself, the Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told reporters in the capital of Norway. We've also got news coming from the EU too, so the European Commission will allocate 40 million euros to Ukraine for the repair of its energy infrastructure, according to European Commission President. She's going to give 40 million euros. We talked about this in my previous video. So there's a new French Prime Minister. So Macron has chosen a new French Prime Minister. So Michel Barnier is the new French Prime Minister. So he is 73 years old. He is the oldest Prime Minister in history of the Fifth Republic. He was Minister of the European Commissioner multiple times when Brexit happened. His experience earned him the job of negotiating Brexit on EU's behalf, a position that was fulfilled truthfully until the peaceful succession of Britain from the EU was completed under a comprehensive Brexit deal. So that's all the information I've gotten on this next new Prime Minister. We've also got news coming from Austria. So the Austrian Chancellor stated that Austria is ready to host Ukrainian peace negotiations. If we can see here in this tweet, he stated that we take note of Russian President's statements regarding his openness for peace talks with Ukraine. Any negotiations must take place without preconditions and at an eye level. Austria will be ready to support a just and lasting peace based on international law and to serve as a venue for negotiations as receipt of the OSCE. So this was stated by the Austrian Federal Chancellor, Karl Nehammer. So very interesting news, and we'll see if Russia and Ukraine agree to this. We don't know. This might be the start of something new. We've also got news coming from the Serbian president. So in my last video, again, we talked about how Vučić, the president of Serbia, declined the meeting. He said that he already has plans on October, so he couldn't visit the BRICS meeting in October. Now we've got some news that the wind is kind of blew the opposite way, and Vučić, the Serbian president, has kind of changed his mind. So he has revealed that he is weighing the possibility of attending the BRICS summit at the invitation of Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Vučić stated that the decision will be made between October the 10th and October the 15th, depending on his pre-scheduled commitments. So if you can clearly see now, the Serbian president might be attending the BRICS summit in Kazan due to how just the scale of how many world leaders are going to be visiting, and obviously you don't want to miss out on the BRICS meeting. And we've also got some news coming from the Romanian Prime Minister. So we've got some reports that the Romanian Prime Minister has visited the Prime Minister of Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. So he stated that Romania and the Romanian government supports Israel's right to self-defense. And I expressed our concerns about the security situation and the danger of regional escalation. He also stated that Romania's support for a ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip, which would lead to the release of all hostages, restoring security and ensure conditions. He also had a meeting with the President of Israel, and he assured that Romania will continue to advocate firmly for the release of all hostages, and I condemn firmly the terrorist attacks on Israel. So that was stated by the Prime Minister of Romania. We've got some news coming from Jordan, from the Jordan Foreign Minister. He stated that any attempts to replace Palestinians from the West Bank to Jordan is a tantamount to a declaration of war on Jordan. So very big statements coming from there. We've also got some news coming from Niger. So the president of Niger demanded that France repay the money looted from Niger over the past 65 years. France is yet to reply at this very time of recording this video. We've also got news that Mali's representatives to the United Nations have accused Algeria of spreading terrorist propaganda in the Sahel region and supporting terrorism, quote, end of quote. And probably one of the biggest news today is that China is to give $50 billion over the next 3 years, says Xi Jinping. So the China-African Forum on Thursday produced a myriad agreements between China and over 50 African nations on areas ranging from industry and agriculture to natural resources and investments. So including a pledge from Chinese leader Xi Jinping that the economic powerhouse would allocate $50 billion to the continent over the next 3 years. So a very big investment indeed. We've also got some news coming from Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, the current president of the United States. So the president's son claims that he is pleading guilty to tax evasion. So he is now facing up to 17 years in prison and up to $450,000 US in penalties, with sentencing due on December the 16th. And the last news is coming from Donald Trump, the former President Donald Trump. He stated that the US sanctions would eventually lead a weakening of the US dollar's influence in the world. That's all the news I actually have for you today. Obviously at the time of recording this is all the news I actually have. Usually I go on quite a bit longer, but thank you for watching. I am Non-Seen News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.